things look different tonight.
Everyone's going to be in for a special treat because they need to watch us rescue everything that you deleted. Are you feeling especially clever now?
So let me describe my week. It went from going complete panic earlier on the week, saying, "Oh my God, we have no one confirmed. We have not even like what's going on," and then to like earlier today, even going, "Oh, this is great. Our schedule's almost filled. Like we're looking good."
Well, if you'd made it all too easy, then what would we have to talk about? So, yeah. But what would have been useful is to have all the assets that we normally use, just in a nicely format. I mean, there's, I recognize setting yourself challenges is can be a fun thing at times, but just not sort of 4 days away from the event. That's not helpful. Or like 2 minutes before we're about to go live.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, dude. Like, I didn't know. So, this is really dumb. This is so dumb. I'm mad, Restream. I am mad.
Can you actually upload new assets whilst we're on live?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's all right then. Have you kept copies of the assets in a nice, sensible place that you can easily get to?
Yes, but they've changed their requirements for one of them, so I'm going to have to do something to get around that.
Oh.
So, like, the background that we normally use.
Yeah.
I have blue triangles background long.mp4. It is a 353 megabyte file. They've downgraded their file storage to 150 megabytes.
Oh. Can you not just sort of turn around and say, look, you're like one of the OGs, therefore, can you just have that back, please? I did that once with my Kindle. So I had a Kindle that I went to a hotel and accidentally sat on it because it was on the bed, and I then sat on it and cracked all the screen. So I went to the local electrical store, bought a new one at price, because I cannot be without a Kindle when I'm away on business. I have to have something to read. And it come up and it had all the adverts on it that Amazon decided to throw on it, which my other one didn't. And so I had to ring up the helpline and practically cried down the phone at them because I just found it irritating. And true story. You're looking perplexed.
Yes.
Nice.
Something sketchy's going on here because what the? This is making me really mad.
Have you changed the music, or is that evolution of the music?
It's evolution of it.
Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So for tonight's show, while you're doing that, I think everything is pretty much there. I did not anything on my phone this time instead of actually being on the thing, so I could try and do a few things at once. And just to practice things out, I had to go and pick up my son from the Scouts thing, just so I could drive my car in order to get into the zone for talking about Ford cars. That's a sacrifice to make.
Something sketchy is happening here.
In what way?
Well, I'm in there twice. Oh.
You were on your phone?
No, and I mean, look, it's me again. Hi. Now there are two of them.
Oh no, that's not good. Not by anybody's. Oh
jeez.
Oh, and now you're getting feedback as well.
Yeah.
Oh, whoa! This isn't called scariest thing I've ever seen.
On the show today,
No.
we're gonna have Nick Roome, and Nick Roome, and Barry Kirby,
and another Nick Roome. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. All right.
It's almost like a scene on The Matrix where like one starts moving, then the next one, then the next one. Oh, now you're back in sync again. So how come you got so many instances up?
I'm trying to figure stuff out. So all of our stuff somehow disappeared. And if you give me just a moment.
Okay. I'll just sit here and talk to myself. Actually, I agree. I was going to say I agree with your mum. It was quite frightening.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. All right.
Who else is out there watching us make a mess of this? Well, I'm not making a mess of this. I'm watching Nick make a mess of this. In the best possible way. I'm doing it in a very supportive way. Oh.
Ha.
Oh, he's back.
I'm back. All right, hold on. I'm slowly reclaiming the show. Hold on. I'm reclaiming the show. I'm taking it from everything. Hold on. And I'm also realizing some limitations that we're going to run into next week. So I'm glad this actually happened. Let's throw that up there. Wait, that's right. That's the right one.
That's right.
Hey, this is starting to look like a little bit. Hold on. Right, what else we got? Yeah, we just need this one, right? And then I think we're good, right? So all the stuff is back. That's the greatest. I love that one. All right, so just throw that one in there. Okay. I'm running into an interesting thing is happening here. So we have our video clips here in Restream, right? The thing used to mark the show. This thing, right? Like this. All right, stop that. Yep. Yeah, that's so those.
Just before your audio is going really choppy. So.
Yeah, I'm aware.
Okay.
Of course, all these problems right before we go live to a conference for 12 hours. 12-hour live stream. That'll be fun.
Anybody who's going to be watching that will be used to our way of working, and therefore
maybe not though. I think we're gonna have a lot of eyes on it that we don't normally.
That's not frightening.
No, not at all.
I'm sure it'll be fine. If I'm confident. Did I say that confidently?
Yeah.
Yeah,
convinced me. I'd like to try something out. So there's this. I think this is the format that we're going to use next week. I think this is going to be better. And
it'll work with people better, presumably.
What's that?
Well, because it will work with 3 people better, or?
Well, so it'll work between you and I better, for sure. It's like we're sharing a mic boom here. Look, like if I just move that up, we're sharing the same mic boom.
That's true. It's sort of ended.
Yeah. Exactly. It looks nice. Which I'm undecided. Should I bring my mic boom? I think I should. And let the guests just carry they hold their mic. Why not throw more gear in the bag? Be over prepared. I'm literally in the phases where I'm throwing everything in the kitchen sink into my container, so that way I make sure I have everything with me. I just got to remember to take it with me, right, Barry?
Yeah. Count the number of bags in and for whatever it is that you're taking, and the most important ones, put some sort of tinsel or something on them, so you definitely make sure you take them. Because it'd be really stupid to go there and leave a key bag, because that would, what sort of an idiot would do that?
What sort of idiot would do that? Let's see here. So
I'll hide it behind the logo.
Yeah, you are. I'm trying to think. So let me add in one additional source here, because I think the way this is going to work is I would like to have, I think it'd be cool if we had 3 cameras going, which we might be able to do. Let's just see.
I'm gonna have to set mine up that way, so I look like I'm looking towards you if you're gonna do that. But normally you don't notice.
So it'd be cool if, I had a view on me like this, and you had one on you like that, and then up here we had the guest off to the left.
Yes, that would be cool.
That'd be very cool. I think that'd be optimal, and I wish Restream gave you just a little bit more control with the layout. I really wish that, but we might just do this format. I don't know. I'm.
It is what we used to.
It is what we're used to, but
oh
yeah.
Look how tiny you had here.
I mean, like, just what looks good from, I just wish I could make you just a little bit bigger and maybe even overlay you on where I'm at, because there's
a joke there somewhere. But I don't
there is. But this is a good size for having a 2-person interview. I'm thinking I'll be right here, somebody else will be right here. We'll be,
but put your third source up, because actually if you go through all of them, they all look different when you've got a third source.
No, I know. So like this one might. What's that?
Well, as long as you're properly centered into, that might work. It's a bit in your face.
It could work, and it's interesting because it's I
just realised the way I've got the set at the moment, I can't see the chat. So there we go.
Can everybody tell that we're like in the? Can everybody tell that we're in the panic phases of like this live stream?
Well, this isn't panic yet. Panic's going to be probably the hour before. That reminds me, you're going to have somebody taking. You're going to have to do a video of the setup. So so basically, if you've got a spare, if somebody's got a spare camera or something to be able to throw while you do while you set up the booth and stuff, because that'll be quite a neat bit of stuff for afterwards.
It would be. So here's the thing. I'm going to see what these 2 cameras look like side by side, because the problem I'm facing is that I don't want either one of these cameras to like jank up the quality, which I think might here. We'll see. Let's look at this, because I want to make sure. I'm probably choppy. I know.
Well, no, you're frozen completely. So.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, that's not working. It might just be that because if that's a cam that you haven't used recently, it might be actually installing the cam first.
Yeah, you're right. It might. Here, let's kill that. Oh yeah, look at nice. That's great. All right, you know what? Hang on. My goodness.
Oh, that's cool. Oh, that is cool. So I just found out that you know how with Windows now you can sort of resize your, if you hover over the maximize button, then you can slip into different layouts. If you hover between the 2 screens that you're sharing, the 2 windows that you're sharing, you can actually drag it to a more custom size, which means I've made the screen smaller, but I've made the text bigger, which is good. Right, I'm going to switch to this side. That's irritating me now. So that needs to go back over there. That needs to go there. But then I need to stretch that over here. Ooh, it doesn't make it the same way. Oh, that's how annoying is that? Oh, that's clever. That's a nice little bit of usability there. Sorry, I should stop going, ooh, and other just simple usability things. It does mean that I can now have the text the right size. No, not that size. Oh, awesome. See, you learn new stuff every day.
Am I moving to you? Or am I just stay? I'm still.
You're static. Oh, now you've gone.
Yeah. How about
how about we do the show like that? That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be great. Panic phasing. We're 15 minutes out till the show tonight. I'm in complete panic mode over this live stream next week, but no one will ever see this panic. Except right now. Right now.
Yeah.
This is
this
feel
is
pretty calm.
This is the behind the scenes fun that people pay the big bucks for.
They pay with their time.
Yeah.
Jeez,
this is the high quality content.
Oh, high quality. Oh boy.
Oh dear.
Be right back.
No. Bye. So, just me then. In fact, if there's a way of me actually taking this over, so no, that'd just be cruel, wouldn't it? We've got to be nice to Nick because there is an awful lot going on for next week, and he's working like an absolute trooper to make all this happen. There's very little I can do from here in the UK, which some would say is probably better for him because my chance of ruining it would be quite high. But tonight's story, because we can't overshadow the fact that we are doing a live show tonight, and I think that this is just the story tonight has been chosen just purely because of my new car. So we are talking about a Ford and the way that Ford is trying to develop things around how to use other people as a sensor, which I think is something that is really up my street, which I'm quite looking forward to. But the other bit of what we're doing here is clearly trying to work out how to make all of this work next week. Because if you hadn't quite worked it out yet, then we're going to have a lot of stuff going on around a live stream from HFES conference, which Nick will be at, and also some more of the Digital Media Lab team is going to be there to do some of that. I'm going to be back here in the UK from this very seat and doing the other half of the Talking Head. And we've got interviews lined up with so many people already. If you were listening just about 10 minutes ago, then Nick was highlighting the fact that at the start of the week we had nobody. We had nobody really lined up until we reached out. And then we reached out through the networks, through the social media networks, and we've got loads of people now, which is fantastic. So a lot of people are going to be around and hopefully doing them live. Hopefully people who are presenters, people who are part of the HFTS leadership, as well as some other people who are just going along and giving us their reaction to the conference. Some people who can't work with us on the day, so we only live for the one day. We're going to do some offline interviews with them on my channel on 1202. Good evening, Barry. Yes, it has been quite a while. Well, it's because you live so far away. It's such a long way to go up the hill, and that's a rubbish excuse. I need to be better. Oh, he decided to come back. No, he hasn't. He's gone away again. So,
No, I'm here. When did the background change? Did the background change back?
Background's changed back. Yes, I didn't notice that. I was too busy waffling on. Is that reset all of the stuff that you just uploaded?
No.
Is it all that? Okay, there we go.
There we go. Well, hi everybody. This is Nick from Nick's Phone. We're technical difficulties tonight. That's for sure. In fact, I think my machine just completely froze on me. So what we're going to do is I'm going to I'm gonna refresh my machine from my end. And you know what the ironic thing is? Is that earlier this week I thought, oh, I'm going to this conference. I've been meaning to get a new machine. It'd probably be a good idea since we're doing this like live stream. I want a reliable thing.
Yeah.
I have a limited time to do it because I would need it by, I leave on Sunday morning. I didn't pull the trigger.
That trigger maybe should have been pulled.
Maybe. Yeah, I am completely frozen on my end. Hang on while I address some of these technical difficulties. Barry, kill some time.
Again. Okay. Gosh. You come here as a guest, and then you get told to hold the show. Yeah. It's not like we're not used to this. I think out of all the when you compare when you compare the amount of times that both sides of us go down, I think I only went properly down 2 weeks ago, and actually that was an interesting learning experience because we worked out. I assumed that it was Chrome and everything that broke, but it wasn't. It was down to user error. Well, sort of user error. I put it down to the designer's error. And good evening to Becky. Hi, Becky. Hope you're well as well. You are true. I like to pretend I'm a super busy guy. And so that's my excuse for getting out of everything. But as Amanda will tell you, I'm actually terribly lazy. So, but just don't tell anybody else that because it's a secret. Yeah, what I found was, so we've talked about the different types of technology that we use to make this come together, which when you think about it, the ability to put on a presentation like this or a live, like that across the states, across the ocean between the States and the UK, and actually fairly simply, just with a bunch of webcams but then we start adding more and more kit into it to make it look a bit more professional because clearly, whilst Nick's very professional, he's got to work with me, and so I need all the help I can get. So we put all this technology in, and then suddenly you get like updates and things, and because we're using so many different platforms, it shows how the integration can sometimes foul you up. So I've got my webcam, and before the show 2 weeks ago, it had done a software update. And it turns out it had developed a new view of a camera, which was a virtual camera, which is why
that's the input that I'm seeing here. What does the virtual camera do?
Yeah, well, if what I did was it ruined everything. That's what gave me all the bad last week, and made it all really chopsy and all that sort of stuff. At least I could test that, I guess, by doing it again. But I guess having both of us broken, that might not be as appealing in the overall show, because with 6 months to go,
it's gonna be hard to top this, I think.
See, when you say things like that, I feel challenged. So let's just see if we can break it.
So yeah, let's see how bad we can make this stream. So I don't even have the video feed right now. I'm logging in to my computer. My computer is scalding hot. I think one of the processor fans has failed on me. And my finger, I think, is burned because of how hot the power button was.
I think I've just blown up my camera. Hold on a second.
Wow! Look, I see an image of you staring at your phone. There you go. I don't know.
Yep.
Wow, look at that! You changed shirts so quickly.
Oh, that's cool.
Wow! Look at that.
That is a picture. That must have been the last picture it took of that show when I was waiting around for something to happen.
Well, it's a good thing that was the last picture that it took.
Yeah, that could that not that there would have been anything else that it might have seen. I mean, I'm a professional. We all know this.
Sure, but I mean, we all know. Sometimes we podcast without pants on. Let's be honest here.
You're assuming that I've got pants on. Okay, fair enough. That's,
yeah,
good. because that's very much the case. But to be fair, it is
now here's the question: Can you like pull out your phone, get back into that same position, and with your other hand try to flip on and off the virtual camera so that way it looks like you are just changing shirts? Can we try that while I get this?
Right. So, need to. Apart from having to keep my headset on, which way around am I? Am I that way? No, it's that way. It's like that. And it's a bit like that.
Yeah, it's like that. You got the mic out of the way.
No mic.
Mic is gone. There it is. Okay. Hey, that's pretty close. You want to aim yourself a little bit forward.
Back to this. So, with 3 minutes to go, this is a fun game.
This is quality content here. I'm always so impressed with us and our ability to troubleshoot technical issues in a fun, entertaining way prior to being.
Well, it's better that we do it now than we do it on next week, because we have to look proper professional next week. There's going to be loads and loads of people hooking up with us. So anyway, so is your laptop now completely blown up and not usable anymore?
We'll see.
My confidence, I like that. See, maybe what I need to do. Wow. That hurt.
Hold on. Okay, I think we're good.
Yeah.
Okay, so now the question is, do I mess with it and try to do the thing that I was trying to do when it crashed earlier? Or
No, you don't.
Because we're 2 minutes away from show?
Well, I mean, to be fair, that is like a whole 2 minutes. I mean, what could possibly go wrong? It's only taking 10 minutes.
You know what? You're absolutely right. I'm going to do it here. So this one over here, because that's where it belongs. This would be a risk, is what would.
Yeah, you're already sounding rubbish. So, and you frozen. Yay! So, nope, no idea what you're saying. All I can hear is like this.
Yeah, I knew it. Yeah.
I know you sound so too bad, but
you know what? We're gonna take a couple extra.
No idea
What's
what
going
you're saying. Oh, there you go. Is that you back?
Okay. Maybe, I don't know. My back.
Oh, you could. Yeah, I think you're definitely there, but I think you're very choppy and you're very laggy. But apart from that, you're beautiful and perfect in every way.
Well, here's what a third person. Oh, thank you. Here's what a person setup might look like. Hold on. This.
Right. Okay.
Now, does that camera quality? Right, because I'll be sitting with somebody else, and we'll have 2 cameras.
Yeah.
Theoretically. Obviously, if the camera angle's correct or whatever, it'll be better than that. Can you hear me okay? Like, am I coming through?
Yeah, you're coming through. I can't work out what the lag is, though. Your machine is clearly doing a lot of work. So...
Really?
Yes. So I think we're now back to just us, which is cool, because second Nick was making me feel all uncomfortable. It's like I felt like I was having an affair. Now I can't work out whether that cat. You're all choppy, and yeah, let's stop the experimentation now, because
Yep.
All right.
So-
Let's see here. Hold on. Right. Can you hear me okay?
I
How's
can
that?
hear you. Yes, I can hear you.
No. Choppy?
I can. Not too bad.
Is it choppy? Okay.
You're very,
You know what?
You're very delayed. Yeah, you're really delayed.
Jeez. You know. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna restart the router. Just you know what? If we're gonna record a show, I don't want this to. So I'm gonna restart the router.
Okay, you do that.
So we restarted the computer. We're restarting the router now, and hopefully we'll be in good enough shape to do a show. Like I shut down everything on my computer before this. I don't know what happened. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to reset this thing, and we'll be good to go shortly.
So that means that you'll disappear again. You won't be able to get back in again. Therefore, we need to go through all that loop again. But hey, what more can go wrong? Yeah, we of course we're better now because he's left. So we will see his we'll see what it looks like when he will drop out in a second. I'm assuming. Ooh. I'm also having to dose myself up with. Yeah, that's something you need to be aware of, Barry. Is if you haven't had it already, the lurgy that's going around is terrible. We've got it all around the house, so hence why I'm at the bottom of the garden because it's not very nice. And Amanda's had it for the past few days, and I've had it for the past 2 days, and we're trying to power through it. But there we go. So try and keep yourselves well, and don't talk to anybody. People give you diseases and things. So hopefully Nick's going to come back soon. We've hopefully going to get our way through to talk about drivers and pedestrians and their relationship, and particularly what Ford are going to do around their technology. You've had a half an hour's worth of entertainment, and really this really epitomizes why we do the pre-show, because a lot of people think that when you do this sort of thing, it's all laid out and it happens without a hitch. But we are both just volunteers or just enthusiastic amateurs at this, trying to put together technology and make stuff work. I've decided to come back now. Oh, well done. How was that? How was that resetting exercise for you? Oh, I think you're
I don't know. How do I sound?
You sound okay, but I think you're about 2 seconds behind what I'm saying.
That's not great. If history has anything to show about it, we will probably catch up and reach parity at some point.
Yes, we will.
But if I may, give me one moment. I'm gonna try something. More experimentation. Great. Yeah. I again just have no idea what's in with any of this tonight. It's just been a real struggle. I pulled the trigger on that damn machine.
Never mind.
All right. Hold on. Okay. How is that?
Oh, that's better. Yes.
Is that better? Okay, great.
Yes.
Fantastic. I think
let's do it.
All right, hold on. 1 minute. Let me get everything in this place. Wow. Jeez Louise. 5 minutes after when we want to go live. Thank you for sticking through the issues, everybody. Well, hopefully that was entertaining, because you do come to NASCAR for the crashes. Okay. All right, my stuff is still very laggy, and that's my machine. Pretty sure the processor bit it.
You've reached parity on voice and video. So when you're talking, I'm hearing you and seeing you. It's all paired up. So
that's great. Oh, I have a Windows 11 update. Great. All right, cool. Well, here's what's going to happen. If at any point during the recording tonight I'm choppy, or my audio starts lagging or something, try to take the reins away from me.
With pleasure.
Take the keys away from Grandpa. Let's see here. All right, let's see. Funny because we're talking about cars tonight. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna press some buttons. We're gonna try to go live, and we're gonna do the best we can, given everything here. I think I've just killed the music. I don't know, because again, my machine is just not having it today. This is so much fun, everybody. I gotta tell you. All right, so we're gonna do this thing, and we'll be right back.
Welcome to Human Factors Cast, your weekly podcast for human factors, psychology, and design.
Hello, everybody. Despite my bumbling pre-show introduction, this is episode 260. We're recording this episode live, you bet we are, on October 6th, 2022. This is Human Factors Cast. I'm your host, Nick Roome. I am joined across the sea, over the internet, by Mr. Barry Kirby. Barry, how are you tonight?
I'm great, and hopefully we'll get this show done in good style.
I hope we do. We got a great show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about how drivers could soon get alerts from nearby pedestrians' phones. And later, we're going to answer some questions from the community about ideas on how to reduce meeting overload, research repository development questions, and resources for shy or introverted folks like myself. Believe it or not, I am pretty introverted here. But first we have a ton of community updates that we got to go over for you. Hey, if you're anywhere near the Human Factors Sphere, next week there's a little conference called HFES, Human Factors and Ergonomic Society. We are going to be there. I'm going to be there in person. Barry's going to be supporting from overseas. We're going to plan to start this live stream around 8 a.m. Eastern, and we're just going to go. I'm not going to give any sort of promises for length or duration. I think I'll tell you our initial goal was something like 12 hours. It's going to be a long live stream. We got a ton of guests. We actually got 9 confirmed guests covering some topics all the way from affinity group spotlights at HFES. We got task forces that people have been working on. But then we also got some really interesting topics from the field in general. So we got VR for process control, automation talks, general artificial intelligence, managing teams, you name it. HFES leadership will be there too. It's going to be a really great time. We have a lot of guests lined up. It's gonna give me echoes of 2018 when we just had like nonstop. We had like 20 interviews that year. And in addition to that, we have one really exciting announcement from us here at Human Factors Cast that we've been cooking up and teasing for months. We will announce that on the live stream. If you'll be there in person, stop by the booth for some podcast swag. We'd love to meet some of y'all in person. Come find me at the conference. I'll be there. I'll give you stickers and do all that fun stuff. At the end of our live stream, we're going to cap it off with a live show like we normally do, but it's going to round out the conference coverage. We're going to be talking about all things HFES annual meeting. So that will be an interesting week. Hopefully we're not going to encounter any live stream issues. It's all going to be gravy train. No issues there. Right. Positive vibes out in the world. But in addition to that, Barry, we got some stuff going on over at 1202. What's the latest?
So over at 1202, we've been talking about the Dirty Dozen, which has been an interview that Michael Bates did with Gordon DuPont. But upcoming on Monday, so just prior to our live stream, is an interview with Dr. Marcin Nazarak, who's talking about proactive learning. So it's a new approach to safety analysis, one that he's championing and has had some great success with. So that's really well worth listening to. Goes live on Monday.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that one. Although I don't know if I'll be able to listen to it next week. My next week is pretty packed. We got a pretty packed calendar there.
I don't know.
All right. Well, hey, I know why you're all here. You're here to hear about the news. So why don't we get into it? That's right. This is the part of the show all about human factors news as selected by our patrons and listeners on social media. Barry, what is the story this week? It's a cool one.
It is, and well done to the patrons for selecting it. Ford drivers could get alerts from nearby pedestrians' phones. So Ford is working on a mobile app designed to alert drivers to pedestrians and to cyclists nearby. The app uses Bluetooth Low Energy, or better known as BLE, to send a location alert from a pedestrian's or a cyclist's smartphone to passing Ford vehicles equipped with the latest infotainment system. The system then calculates potential crash risks, providing screens and audio alerts. The technology has other potential uses, including detecting construction zones, construction workers, according to Ford. The function is intended to complement, not really replace, its Copilot 360 advanced driver assistance system. The safety package includes features such as automatic lane keeping and blind spot assistance, and I can verify that stuff works. Instead of relying upon the cameras or the radar which are on board the vehicle already, they can only really detect people and objects in the line of sight. This BLE or Bluetooth Low Energy uses radio waves to sense behind buildings and other obstructions. This technology is already widely available in smartphones, which typically must pair with other devices in order to communicate. Ford has said that its application can communicate with multiple similarly equipped devices within range without pairing with them. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on basically my car hijacking your phone and turning it into a sensor?
You know, if it's going to keep me safe, I'm all for it. Like, here's the thing. There's obviously a lot of safety and security concerns with something like this, and we can talk through some of those. My initial thoughts is if we can use existing signals and technology out there in the world that will help identify people and protect them, just passively almost, I guess, then I'm all for it. Barry, what are you thinking?
So for me, this is that Internet of Things or IoT nirvana. All the different types of technology working together to provide an augmented sensor picture. And from that perspective, I love it. And also it's going to come into a Ford, which I own. So that's brilliant. And being somebody who drives a Ford, their latest, what did they call it? The Copilot 360 is something that I use already. And I've used it for the past few weeks. And I'm quite a fan of that. So if this is going to augment that, then that's brilliant. However, whilst I'm quite enthusiastic, I need to temper that a little bit with, we've got to think about some of the social conscience here. I think there's some ethical, societal, and privacy issues that we should probably dig into. So, but as usual, I think we should go and look at the breadth of human factors elements here into this. So where would you like to begin?
Well, I think the first thing that I would like to talk about, because I think help us paint a picture of what this Copilot 360 driver assistance system looks like in practice today. You have a Ford, you drive one, you know what this looks like, and you're happy with it. What does it look like today? And then maybe we can add on to that.
That's cool. And I'm pleased you mentioned that, because obviously I haven't mentioned about my new car very much. So that's great.
Oh, you have a new car, you say?
Dude,
and
it's brilliant.
It's a Ford? Oh, okay, great.
Ford. So it's a Mustang as well. Did I mention that? So when
can they just send us a free Mustang? Because we mentioned it enough on the show. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
The Copilot 360 feature is really interesting. That on your the Mustang has two screens. It's got one that is right in front of you, then it's got the equivalent to the big tablet screen in the middle, and it has a lane assist system. So it has it senses the edges of the road or the edges of your lane that you have. It's also got a radar sensor out in front, so you can tell whether there's something in front of you. So when it senses where the edges of the lane are, you've got a little diagram in front of you of your car, and with two basically grey lane symbols, so a grey lane symbol on either side. When they go green, that means that it understands that you're in a lane, and it recognizes that the lane is there. At that point, if you press cruise control and you switch on your cruise control, it will also keep in with lane keeping. That means you could actually if you wanted to, take your hands off the wheel, and it will keep you in your lane. It also has, like I said, the front sensor, so it recognizes when there's a vehicle in front of you. So if you set your cruise control to, I don't know, 70 mile an hour, like we would on a UK motorway, if the car pulls out in front of you, it will then reduce your speed to make sure that you are always a set distance away from that car in front. So even though you've got your speed set at 70, it will drop you down to 50. Then it gets a bit cleverer than that. So if it detects that there's something that you can potentially collide into, it has pre-collision alert, which I found out about the other day, when it comes up with a bit more of more of alert ding, more of alerting sound, and it comes up with this nice red, big red flashy thing that says pre-alert collision of warning. I'm like, well, I'm not going to look down at that and recite all that by the time I get it. But apparently, and I haven't tested this, that if you get to a point where where the car recognizes that you haven't taken any action, it will take the action for you, and that will either be braking or swerving to avoid. And so I haven't done that yet. I haven't been in that situation, and I don't know how to test it. So that's an aside. So in short, I mean, there are a couple of other elements around it, but fundamentally, it recognizes where you're at in the road, sort of width-wise, so it keeps you in your lane. It recognizes that there's cars in front of you, and then also obviously when you're reversing and stuff, it's got the cameras all around. You can have 360 camera view and things like that. Which learning to reverse without looking through your back window is a bit of a novelty. And the other final cool thing it does is in this 360 camera view, which I think probably other cars do it already, but it takes the camera, takes
That's
the pictures from either side and front and back, and gives you what looks like almost a satellite view of you reversing. Yeah, it's an augmented side view, which is just, that blows my mind. It's brilliant. And really, really useful for like getting car park spaces. And I stayed at a hotel last week where the car park space was really, really, really tight. And I was like, if I didn't have all these systems, like, there was no way I would have parked there. It was excellent. So that is what Copilot 360 does in a nutshell.
So all that, to recap, it's a pictograph of what is going on visually around your vehicle at any given time, right? Either the lanes, the car ahead of you, that spatial awareness of, when you're in a parking lot backing up, that type of thing, right? And so when we look at this story and we think about how this type of thing is going to be implemented, for me, this is the big question: is how is this going to be displayed to the drivers? How is it going to be communicated that there's a pedestrian nearby? If there's multiple pedestrians, how does it combine or distinguish between those signals? How does it communicate that there's multiple pedestrians traveling, at a certain distance? And if you're going through an intersection at a certain speed, I don't know, 30 miles per hour, I'm just saying an arbitrary number there. Mm-hmm. What is the distance of Bluetooth, BLE? What is that distance that it would activate or communicate with the vehicle? And then also, is that enough time for the driver to register and perceive that there are pedestrians just around the corner that they can't see, right? So there's a bunch of human factors issues that I see at a glance with all of this. Is it a good thing that we are going to ultimately include something like this in a vehicle? Absolutely. My concerns are range of Bluetooth and also the time in which it would take to communicate those pedestrians nearby to a driver. I think you're driving through a city street and you see a bunch of dots on there. Is it meaningful to you if you can't discern which direction they're traveling, if you can't discern, sort of which ones immediately impact you? And so those are the types of issues that I think of first. What are some of the first things that you think of, Barry, when you think of human factors issues with this, or human factors wins?
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy, I think, and I certainly did this, was like, well, more data is good data, isn't it? I think, anything that gives you that more information. But then having worked with what I would call secondary data in situational awareness displays in the past, there is a certain element there around how do we define the difference between primary data, so stuff that your platform, your car has sensed, therefore we know it's better, or it's got less latency and things like that. So how do we need to differentiate between the two different types of data? And really, I sort of started digging into just how useful will this data be? Because if we're talking about Bluetooth Low Energy, well, actually the range of that is fairly restricted because it's low energy, and that's one of the reasons it was defined in the way that it is. And one of the things that the article isn't exactly clear on exactly what data is going to be transferred. Is it using the BLE as a sensor in of itself in order to work out what is going around it, or is it simply just passing data back that says this person or this device, so you're making the assumption that somebody's carrying the phone, that is then being passed to the car to say there is somebody with this app 5 meters away from you. And if you're traveling, and I'll take your arbitrary figure of 30 again, if you're traveling at 30 miles an hour, by the time that's traveled over there, is that risk already passed? Is it? And by the time it's sensed to you, because really, when this is going to be used, you're looking at somebody crossing the road. You're looking at somebody who is maybe going to cause an incursion into your driving space. How is that going to work? So I guess the other side of it as well is I sort of had to take a big approach, because having said that, I love my Ford. The Ford app, so you can have an app which I can turn my car on and off in. I can see its charge, and all that sort of stuff. That's great. But the app isn't brilliant. I've seen better apps. But even if the app was brilliant, if I own a Ford, I'm going to download a Ford app. That's kind of a given, and therefore I'd have it running on my machine. That's on my device. If you don't own a Ford, then why on earth would you download a Ford app to help only Ford drivers? That just doesn't seem sensible or indeed going to work. Therefore, I think I would hope that actually what Ford are doing are talking about the development of a generic app, or even better, a service built into the operating system of the phone that shares data in such a way that any car manufacturer who is developing these sort of devices can pick that up. That is the only way that you're going to get social buy-in into this, because if we jump onto the safety element of it, the positive side of this gives you, where these people who are running this app. But what happens when somebody steps out who wasn't running the app? And therefore, could your defense be, well, I didn't know they were there because my car didn't alert me because they didn't have the app running? That's not going to stand up in court. It's not going to stand up on the moral measure, is it? So there's almost there's that flip side of, if some people have got it, you've only got a partial data view. Therefore, is it actually any good? Is it one of these things that you have to have 100% coverage in order to make it work? I've jumped around a number of topics there, so I'm going to shut up for a bit and let you have a go.
Yes, I have a couple of clarifications that I'd like to make, because I think the way that this article is worded makes it a little bit confusing. But the way that this app is working is that it is a phone app that is communicating with other passive Bluetooth signals, and it is sending the information about those signals to the vehicle. So I don't think any pedestrian needs the Ford app to do this. I think the app is for the driver. It collects information based on the signals that the phone receives and sends it to the car. So the car then parses that data and plots it. I know I had to double check, Barry. I could see the confusion on your face. Because because it wouldn't work otherwise, right? You're absolutely right. If everybody had to download an app, it just wouldn't be feasible. So the thing with this is that you're right. There'd be that social buy-in if that was the issue. I don't foresee that being the issue if it's passively reading and passively picking up. Now, I do want to sort of follow up on a thought that I had earlier. I did some research while Barry was rambling about Sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, Barry. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. Not rambling. You were constructively commenting on the article here. No, but I want to talk about the range of Bluetooth and specifically BLE. So estimates from a phone powered device, a phone device, I guess, you're looking at a low end of about 80 meters, which is about 260 feet, all the way up to about 100 meters, which in US is about 300 plus feet, right? So it's actually quite a long range when you think about it that way, and especially when it doesn't need to maintain a sustained signal. This would be enough data for the phone to pick it up and say, oh, there's something that direction based on the signal and the rate at which it picks it up, so it can determine all that stuff, send it to the car. Now, I can see this being really beneficial in a city environment where, let's say, you have a cyclist coming up from behind you that you can't see, but Bluetooth is picking up, and it's picking up their rate, and you're about to make a right turn, and it's on. Oh, sorry, I'm here in the States, right? So we drive on the right side of the road and turn right, and so it's driving on my right. I'm going to turn right, and it tells me that there's somebody right behind me, and I see this this little dot on my what was it? Auto Copilot 360 Advanced Awareness. I see it coming up behind me, and I say, oh, I'm not going to turn because I see there's an alert that pops up that says, hey, cyclist coming in. So I can see it for, when you're stopped at an intersection, you're about to make a move and new information comes in. I can see that being very useful. Likewise, if let's say it's dark, somebody's dressed in all black, about to cross a street, you can't see them because they're dressed in all black. Then, if they have a phone on them, you're going to see a little dot on your, on your device that says, oh, hey, somebody's right here. And my eyes don't see anything, but the signals are telling me that somebody's right there. You take a second look. Oh, yes, there's somebody crossing the street. It's very useful for those situations, I think, where you are close to stationary. It's picking up all the information around you and relaying that information in that regard. Now, like I was saying, in a city environment where there's like lots of signals going on, even potentially from the buildings nearby, from the people sitting down at coffee shops on the corner, there's a lot of signals that can go into this. And so the thing I'm wondering is, how is this going to parse, display, and sort of parse, consolidate, display all this information in a meaningful way to the driver that's going to be actionable, right? If they see all these dots on it, they're not going to be paying attention to it in the middle of a city environment. I just don't see that happening because it's information overload. How do you sort of reduce that information to be meaningful? Do you do the ones that only have velocity attached to them? Well, then, what does that look like if, you have a bunch of walking people? Does it show it as one sort of consolidated blob moving in, one direction, and the size of the blob indicates how many signals it's getting from that direction? How does it consolidate that information? These are all user interface usability issues that need to be thought through as it displays it to the driver. Because again, in a situation where you are going 100 times faster than anybody walking or can, you are making decisions in a faster pace than those people because they have more time to react than you do if you're traveling at a faster pace. And so you need to be able to react faster. You need to be able to parse that data faster as a human. So these are some of the questions I have, and we've focused a lot about, sort of the usability aspects, the UI. Is this a radar kind of display? Is it easily perceivable at a glance? Those types of things. And the interesting piece to me is where, like what happens if somebody's carrying multiple devices?
Mm-hmm.
Can it tell what those devices are? Are there, passive Bluetooth, like somebody has a speaker out there, and they're just listening to stuff on the street corner. Does it show up as, a dot? I don't know. Right. These are questions that I have. Is it only attached to velocity? I don't know. And I don't know the right answer to them. I'm not an expert in this. I don't know, Barry. I've rambled. Where do you want to go from here?
You haven't rambled. You've thought and you've expressed. Yeah, we're good at this time. I think it's just because it's so interesting. Because if you had just a Bluetooth transmitter, which is effectively what we're saying the phone is, if that was just transmitting, saying it's there, then that's useless to the car because it cannot determine where it is. and if it's got any velocity or anything like that. So I'm interested in how that, what data is actually transmitting, because this is why we go back to the app and how they do it, because just because it's got Bluetooth doesn't by default send out any GPS data. And so for you to know where this thing is, you either need to just know its ID and know, I guess you don't have any direction finding on your vehicle is kind of what I'm getting to. You've got one receiver, which is your phone. And if you've got a Bluetooth device there, you don't know where that Bluetooth device is. It's deliberately not as intelligent as Wi-Fi and stuff like that, because it's made for this type of just low levels of passing data. So the Bluetooth will need to be able to receive some sort of lat long, some sort of location, which
Not
you can't.
necessarily. I think it could derive that. I think it could derive that information, right? Because I mean, if your phone has a velocity attached to it, you're in a car, you're moving, it then will detect the deltas between the signal strength, and just based on signal strength alone, you can tell how far away you are moving away from something or how close you are moving towards something. And beyond that, you are kind of limited on your path of a street, and so by that deduction, it can also kind of calculate angles, right? Because your direction, your velocity, your I guess field of movement is restricted based on the street, or hypothetically should be, and so it can almost interpolate where those positions are based on just the differences in signal strength. That's my low level layman's person understanding of how they're calculating those types of that directional data, right? Is the algorithms that make it.
I'm down with that. I'm just trying to look up on the good old Wikipedia to see exactly what information is given, because I'm not. So you can have a level of proximity sensing. So we've done this before. We've done with iBeacons. So again, using Bluetooth for that sort of thing. But again, we couldn't work out where they were until you cited them onto a map ourselves, and we give them an ID and said, right, we've dropped this iBeacon here, which was a BLE device. I'm not convinced that my phone would. I'm not even convinced it actually understands where what that it can actually derive what the strength of the Bluetooth signal it's receiving is. I need to do some research in this. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it really is, right? I mean, it's just opened up this big old Pandora's box for us to sit and sort through and be like, how does this really work from a technical perspective? But I mean, okay, let's just put all that away. Assuming that this works from a technological perspective, let's talk about the human factors issues here, right? Because I think that's what people want to hear.
It's a big human factors issue if it doesn't work.
That's
I think I think we need to go and tell Ford that we don't think it can work. Oh, I don't think it can work. You think it can anyway. You're right. So if you're let's assume that because some sort of data is going to have to be passed, and which as a minimum it's got to have some sort of ID, because you know what it is. Because each Bluetooth transmitter transmits an ID. That's how you know where it's at. So that leads us into privacy. And so let's get into some nice cultural, ethical sort of issues here. So everybody has a right to privacy, and so if you're there and the car or your device recognizes that somebody's been there, it obviously pulls in this data and will hopefully anonymize it on the display, but that data will sit in your phone in some sort of storage somewhere. What happens if one of the people there was maybe where they shouldn't have been, and you've got a record of that? Now that could be a good or a bad thing. So one of the thoughts I had was actually if there's been an accident or something, could we use this to help recreate accident data for accident reconstruction? So then you can actually work out what that, if you had that car, what was around at any one point. You can actually, it's almost the equivalent of a bit of a black box, isn't it? That would be quite neat.
That would be.
then let's take the this thing a little bit further. Is if this is data that's just been transmitted, what happens if it's hacked? What happens if that data is actually not real, or the flip side is true? The transmitter that you think is nicely protecting you and all that sort of stuff is actually, switched off or something like that that we don't know what we can do with. So I think there's some of those. How do we ensure system safety? How do we ensure that it's robust enough to have enough confidence in to protect people? But I think that again, that could be that having this idea of almost a black box reconstruction. I think that's really neat. The final bit, I'll sort of chuck it this before I let you have a go again, is if we're talking about the Bluetooth being used to talk between sort of pedestrians and vehicles, could this be used to talk between vehicle and vehicle? That's something that we have talked about quite a few different occasions, and I think it's that nirvana for I use that word twice today, for the IoT side of things, because if the car in front of you senses somebody on the crossing the road when they shouldn't do in front of you, not only would it be useful for that car to know, but actually for that car to pass the information back to me if I'm behind it. So I recognize that they're probably going to brake really sharply soon, so I can take evasive action quicker as well.
But only if it's a Ford.
Only if it's a Ford. But then, everyone buys Fords nowadays, don't they? So, because I've got one, therefore surely everyone's got to. Did I tell you I've got a new car?
There's a clip for TikTok. All right.
Actually, I said I was going to let you talk. I lied. The last thing that I think for me that this sort of brings out is when we spoken about them before in terms of standards. This just is crying out for being incorporated into the common standard, be that the BLE standard, the Bluetooth Low Energy standard, or whatever. But there is clearly something there around commonality of use. I'll let you talk.
Yeah. Well, I just want to comment, briefly on some of the standard stuff, right? We actually talked last week with Ram from HFES about standards and standardizations. If you haven't checked out our town hall yet, go check that out. It's a great talk about standards and publications within HFES. Great talk. But I think standards, you're right. There's a great opportunity there to, and we talked about standardizing the metaverse. Go check that out too. But yeah, there's a great opportunity there. You're right. Because if everyone's on board for the same thing, then we could almost make it a standard to transmit that GPS data along. Does that, what kind of security implications does that introduce? But that might be, if it's for, maybe only pass it along if it's connected to an authorized app, and maybe the apps have to go through some authorization to get security applied to it. I don't know. The next sort of bit of this that I'd like to go into is maybe talking about the usefulness that this has for certain populations, and really those that are at risk, who may not necessarily have the same perceptual abilities as most adults, right? So I'm thinking from the pedestrian side now, because yes, we've been talking a lot about the driver. This is going to benefit a whole other population. This is going to benefit the pedestrians too. If the drivers are able to detect where they're at and that intent behind sort of where the pedestrians are, then the pedestrians' lives are going to be, more protected than they would have otherwise. And so I'm thinking of other populations like children or aging populations who may find it difficult to detect cars on the road, especially as cars become more and more electric. They make less noise. And so if someone's hard of hearing, the deaf community, there's going to be a real issue with detecting vehicles on the road. There already is. And so thinking about how this might be able to impact them, again, communicating that information to the driver is going to ultimately protect those on the road and not necessarily the driver. And so I think it's a good thing because, again, we will sort of protect children who maybe they don't have a phone on them, but they might have a tablet that mom and dad lets them play with or something along those lines. That, if they're going over to their friend's house, or if they're on the bus, if they're getting off the bus from school, that's going to make those situations a lot more safe too. So that's another interesting bit. We've already talked a little bit about the UI, but understanding what information is presented to you. So the training piece of it, right? We really need to make sure that the people who are driving the vehicles don't need training or very little training to use this thing, because it can save lives. It can save those populations that I just brought up. And the additional thing is that, if there's an alert, that needs to be intuitive as well. Basically, training is not a patch for this. It needs to not exist for something like this. It needs to be very intuitive to use. I've talked now enough, Barry. I want to throw it back over to you one more time. Do you have any other closing thoughts on this article, this technology, what can be done with it?
I think it is one of these things. I think it's exciting. I think it's something that's going to be quite cool. I think there's potential for the law of unintended consequence to rear its head, which we need to work through. Like some really random things, like if we encourage, a lot of people have Bluetooth on all the time already, but if we're actually doing a bit more Bluetooth interrogation, what impact does that have on the battery life of your phone? And if we're passing data, if we're deriving data and passing for it, that actually might be happening anonymously. Who's paying for that? Are we expecting just normal people just walking down the road to be almost paying for the service that I'm getting as a Ford driver? But I think for me, it's a really good start. I'm quite excited to see how this develops.
Yeah, I agree. The last thing I'll add is that I said it snarkily. The only if you're a Ford driver will it alert the next car down. But I think that is one place where standards could make a huge difference, is that if everybody is using this system, you must communicate something like that to the car behind you, regardless of make and model, if it's going to save lives, if it's going to prevent damage, destruction, lives being lost. I think that's an incredibly important thing. And I said it snarkily because the Ford, in their best interest, as much as you love them, their interest is to make Ford cars look good in comparison to other cars so that more people will buy those cars. And if Ford cars can communicate with each other and prevent those accidents, then that's going to make them look better. It's the same thing with Tesla. It's the same thing with Honda. It's the same thing with whatever car manufacturer you want to go with. That is what's going on there. All right. I think that's enough. Thank you so much to our patrons this week for selecting that topic. And thank you to our friends over at TechCrunch for our news story this week. If you want to follow along, we do post the links to all the original articles in our weekly roundups in our blog. You can also join us on our Discord for more discussion on these stories and more. We'll see if we get a weekly roundup next week. It'll be a Tuesday when I'm at conference. So we'll see. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back to see what's going on in the human factors community right after this.
Human Factors Cast brings you the best in human factors news, interviews, conference coverage, and overall fun conversations into each and every episode we produce. But we can't do it without you. The Human Factors Cast network is 100% listener supported. All the funds that go into running the show come from our listeners. Our patrons are our priority, and we want to ensure we're giving back to you for supporting us. Pledges start at just $1 per month and include rewards like access to our weekly Q&As with the hosts, personalized professional reviews, and Human Factors Minute, a Patreon-only weekly podcast where the hosts break down unique, obscure, and interesting human factors topics in just 1 minute. Patreon rewards are always evolving, so stop by patreon.com/humanfactorscast to see what support level may be right for you. Thank you, and remember, it depends.
Yes, huge thank you. As always, to our patrons, we especially want to thank our honorary Human Factors Cast staff patron, Michelle Tripp. Patrons like you truly keep the show going. Your contributions not only help us, but also help, did you know we have a lab? Here's that was a smooth transition, right? Did you know that we have a lab? No, we do have a Human Factors Cast digital media lab. We're highly focused on communicating human factors, topics, concepts, information to everybody, not just human factors individuals, but folks who may be human factors adjacent, like UX or even just the layman, right? We're really interested in communicating human factors effectively. We do have a lot of exciting projects in development over at the lab. In fact, one of them we're going to announce next week at HFES. We're super excited about it. We've been working on it for a very long time. So if you want to get involved, if you want to get some work experience, if you want to hang out with myself and Barry and a bunch of other enthusiastic, not only listeners, we have people who are in the lab who don't even listen to the show. They're from different domains entirely. If you want to get involved, work with some industry tools, get some skills, reach out to us on any of our social platforms. We have a lab website, kind of hfcdml.com. You can go there, visit our official website. Seriously, there's a couple different ways that you can get in touch with us. Any one of them is effective. We're always welcoming new people to the lab. Anyway, that's just a little bump that we like to do from time to time, just to let people know, because these little bumps, we've actually gotten people to join the lab because of them. And I think one of them's in chat tonight. Hi, Alex. All right, well, let's get into this next part of the show we just like to call.
It came from.
Oh, that's right. It came from. It's the part of the show where we search all over the community to bring you topics that the community is talking about. It's the internet to bring the community topics. Anyway, if you find these answers useful wherever you're watching, listening, absorbing, osmosing, just give us a like to help other people find this type of thing. We got 3 tonight. The first one here is from the User Experience subreddit. This is by User Experience Guy. Well, that's fitting. They write ideas on how to reduce meeting overload. They write, I'm working at a big company. The staff is mostly remote. Bosses are running sprints every week, requiring presentation, solution, research, validation. On top of that, there are cross-functional meetings with PMs, devs, accessibility, as well as other design teams. The staff has little time to work, little heads down time, that is. Now the bosses are asking for solutions. Note, the design maturity of the company is low. Big fights between PMs and designers, last-minute requests. This process was created to reduce friction. So basically, the question is, what do you do to reduce some of this meeting overload? There's a lot going on. Barry, what strategies have worked for you?
So this is quite simple. It actually makes me quite cross, I think, because it feels very much like a large company has said, let's do agile because agile's the new sexy thing in the market and we must do it. And so they've sent somebody on a couple of agile courses, and then they've said, right, let's do it. Let's make that happen. And then some big bosses turned around and said, oh, actually, I also want to have this cross-functional. I want oversight on what's going on, and I want to have all my PMs. I want to talk to all my devs today. I want to talk to all blah 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 blah. And so they're trying to. So they're not doing agile. They're doing waterfall, but putting agile. You're throwing the word sprint in here and there. So fundamentally, they need a sprint leader who is to do their job properly. The whole point of a sprint lead is they're a servant leader. They get rid of all the rubbish. They deflect and let the team get on with their job. If the team's been set up right, then they shouldn't need to be worried about bosses coming and asking for updates and all this sort of stuff. That's the lead. That is the job of the sprint lead, is to make sure that they deflect all of that stuff off. This isn't agile. This is so far from agile, it's unreal. It's worse than not doing it at all. So my argument would be fire the lot of them and start again. Get slightly more seriously, but no. Some people need to step up and say that either if they want to do agile by using sprints and things like that, crack on, but do it properly, or don't. Just because agile is popular doesn't necessarily mean it's the right solution. For a lot of large companies, they just can't deal with it. They can't work with it. Go back to what you want to do. This sounds very much more Matrix with the waterfall projects. If that's really what works for you as an organization, go back to doing that, but do it properly. Don't mess around with agile. That sounded a bit of a lecture. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's tricky because there's agile methodology, but what if you don't do agile? Like, what if your company just does not do agile, and there's all these meetings, in a software development environment where you still have all these players, but you're not agile. And I'm wondering how that might happen. For me, I spend an unhealthy amount of time on emails, agonizing over every word sending. But that's because I want to avoid those meetings, and I want to sort of make sure that I have the time to be heads down or have the freedom to work when I want, right? And so I think that's another thing too, is if you're bogged down with these meetings, then you are at the mercy of when other people set them. And, thankfully I work with a team that is very understanding and very flexible, and really, prioritizes meetings only when they're necessary. And I think the mindset, it's really difficult to change culture, but I think that there's a culture change that needs to happen here. I think the default should be asynchronous by default, and synchronous when absolutely necessary. And it sounds like it's almost the other way around: synchronous by default and asynchronous, after that. So really, it's just changing mindsets, and saying, hey, it's the pushback piece too. Hey, my time is being taken up by all these meetings. Is there any way that this could be accomplished by an email? And that goes a long way. People don't feel great about wasting other people's time or monopolizing people's time, as much as you might think otherwise. I think, if you communicate that work's not getting done because you're spending all the time in meetings, they'll be more willing to pull back on some that are unnecessary. It's tricky here because of the stage in which they're in, but I don't know. That's my advice, 2 cents. Let's get into this next one here, by Whiskers 9101 on the UX research subreddit. They talk about research repository development. Hello, all. I am currently the only UX researcher at my company, and I am looking to consolidate my information in a research repository. Apart from dedicated products, what have other people done to store and organize their information? My company uses Jira, Microsoft products, by the way. Thank you. Barry, how do you organize information? I feel like we talked about this one before, but generally, how do you organize your research?
Yes, we have done a similar-ish question like this before. If you're using Microsoft products, then SharePoint is very, very useful. It can be set up in such a way that because I use it, I set up separate project sites. So SharePoint site per project with the team's buy-in. And then I also have a central repository for research information, so stuff that isn't necessarily associated with the project but is a really good reference, or when a project is finished and I want to make sure that all the references we've used go into a central repository that we can then tag. And the thing that SharePoint does well is metadata on stuff, so you can put it in and you can add all your tags and things like that. So, but it's not the only tool out there. The questions has already named a couple, but if you've got SharePoint already there, then actually it's quite a powerful tool the company will get for free because it's already in with what you've got. Jira, again, Jira sort of we use more for the management side of things rather than the actual research data, but different people use it in different ways. I'd be down a SharePoint site or a Teams site. Obviously, Teams is backed off onto SharePoint anyway.
Yeah, I tend to advocate for use the tool that everyone else is using to kind of communicate that stuff, because like if your product development team is using Jira, then use Jira to communicate, because then you're going to have less friction between those teams as you try to show them, like, here's a research finding in a Jira ticket, and you can attach that to the development of a UI element or the development of a thing in the workflow. So that's kind of where I default to, is use the tools that everybody else is. So that way there's less friction with communication of things between teams. And communication is really important, obviously. So, but if you're the only person at a company that is doing research, then you might look into just making a spreadsheet to start, and until you find a tool that's useful for you. Spreadsheets can do a lot, and that look into that. All right, we got one more here. Facilitation resources for shy or introverted folks. This is by user Zap Align on the user experience subreddit. That's it. Facilitation resources for shy and introverted folks. Barry, for people who are shy or introverted, how do you sort of what resources are available?
So for me, there's only one resource that you need to be aware of, and that is a good facilitator. If you've got a good facilitator in doing, or you're being that facilitator, it's about empowering people. You can have a whole group of people there that you'll always almost every group I ever work with, you've always got the loud one. You've always got the one that's maybe like checking the phone. You've got the one who's nose down into writing stuff down, writing all them sort of notes. And you've always got the one person who's, or maybe more, whatever, who is, you can tell that they want to say something, but then the loud person is always shouting up, or the other person is, they never get that space. And it is up to you as a facilitator to look around the group, see if anybody's in that situation, and empower people. Turn around and say, I haven't heard, have you got something to contribute, or are you trying to say something? Not picking on them by any stretch, because that again will just make them more introverted, but give them the ability, give them the affordance of being able to speak up. If you can make that happen, then that's brilliant. And if you're the introverted one, because again, in them, certainly in new groups and stuff, I'm down with that. I can be very, very introverted. I don't like shouting up into a room unless I feel empowered to do so. If you see somebody else struggling, you know exactly how they feel. So feel free for you to shout up and say, "Oh, we haven't heard from Mary or Bob or whoever." Become an ally to them, and then they might do the same back for you as well. So go team introverted. But it's about empowerment. Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I struggle with this because I'm thinking about it from the perspective of actually talking with users, right? Like, what do you do if you are shy and introverted, but you're expected to get user data or interact with other users, right? You're a researcher, and researchers can kind of be introverted. They look at data all day, and so how do you sort of combat that and reach out and get that feedback from people in a facilitation role? So you start a podcast because it helps you with the extroverted stuff. No, but
That comment
in a way, I think one strategy that I've done that has worked asterisk for me is to put myself in situations where I am forced to do a thing. Because as a researcher, you research a thing on how to do it before you do it, and you prep for it. And so when you put yourself out there and do something that you're maybe uncomfortable with or commit to it, then you are kind of forcing yourself to do the work, to be prepared. And that preparation, going in prepared, feels really good, because then you know exactly how to approach a situation. Whenever basically whenever you approach a situation, you know kind of what to expect, and even in the unexpected situations, you kind of have a fallback, right? So that's kind of the best advice I got, is prep, and commit to those situations. All right, we've done the It Came From. Now it's just time for the part of the show we like to simply call One More Thing. Barry, what's your one more thing this week?
So my one more thing, I mentioned a few weeks ago that our eldest daughter went off to university. We sent her off into the big wide world. Well, she's coming back this weekend. She's realized that there's only so much alcohol you can drink, and or at least you purchase. She's going to come back and steal some of ours. But no, we're very excited to hopefully have her come back tomorrow. So it's been a really interesting, almost journey for us to have, into this next stage of all of our lives, really. And yeah, you're going to be quite excited to see her tomorrow.
Well, I'm really happy for you that you get to see family. For me, my one more thing this week is I woke up last Saturday morning, and opened my phone, and none of the things that I wanted were where I wanted them. I have a launcher on my Android that I really liked, and the latest update bricked the launcher to where it didn't pull in any of my preferences, and so everything that I was looking for was not there. And so I had to switch to the default launcher and slowly rebuild where I had everything. It's really annoying because I'm still rebuilding it, and I don't have the same level of customization that I did with the other update. I'm just scared that the other update will, brick it again, and so I've switched over to the default launcher on the Android system. It's fine. It's just like it takes some getting used to. I think I'm almost there to where I'm I've got the essentials, right? There's still a couple that are annoying. Like I made shortcuts to websites like that don't have apps for them or whatever. And I got to recreate all those. And I don't remember because I didn't take screenshots because I wasn't expecting it. It's just an annoying process. All right. Anything else, Barry?
No, actually, an interesting thing on that is there's a lot more people producing web apps nowadays. So you do need to be able to do the whole linkage to a web page more so than you used to. So yeah, I can see how that would be annoying.
Yeah, very annoying. Well, that's it for today, everyone. If you enjoy the discussion about our topic today, why don't you go listen to episode 258, where we talk about touchscreens in cars. And you can hear a little bit more about Barry's new ride there. Have you heard he has a new ride? Comment wherever you're listening with what you think of the story this week. For more in-depth discussion, you can always join us on our Discord community. We have one of those. Visit our official website, sign up for our newsletter, stay up to date with all the latest Human Factors news. If you like what you hear, you want to support the show, there's a couple things you can do. 1, you can leave us a 5-star review. 2, you could tell your friends about us. That it continues to be the best way that people find the show. Or 3, if you have the financial means to and you want to support the show that way, consider supporting us on Patreon. We do give back to you over there as well. As always, links to all of our socials and our website are in the description of this episode. Mr. Barry Kirby, thank you for being on the show today. Where can our listeners go and find you if they want to talk about your new ride and what to expect with Bluetooth signals coming into your phone?
So you can find me on social media at Baz_K, or if you want to listen to some of the interviews that we've been up to around the Human Factors community, then find me on 1202 Human Factors Podcast, which is 1202podcast.com.
As for me, I've been your host, Nick Roome. You can find me in Atlanta, Georgia next week for HFES and across social media at Nick_Roome. We will see you next week for Human Factors and Ergonomic Society. I am so excited. Thanks again for tuning in to Human Factors Cast. Until next week, it depends.
Hey, bring the music back. That was good. I enjoyed that. It's again, it's one of them sort of topics that we dive into. You're not entirely sure where it's going to go because it's what different bit with the fact that clearly we both read slightly different things around the BLE stuff. Where I thought that was really cool. That was really neat. I just think that I did a fair bit of work with BLE about 4 years ago. No, how long has my company been? It must have been about 5 years ago. I went out to Germany and stuff and worked with a company out there around it. Just at the time that the BLE itself was coming out, the low energy bit. And yeah, it's amazing how much stuff you forget. But it's I'm not. It'll be interesting to see what they actually do with it and how they make it work.
Mm-hmm.
But we survived. We survived the entire show.
We did. My computer didn't blow up,
which is good. Didn't see any smoke.
No smoke. My finger is not burned. I think it's fine. There was a little bit of lag on my end when I was hovering the mute button, but I think, aside from that, I think we're good. We did it. We have done the thing.
I kept on remembering to press the mute button every time I was coughing as well, which I thought was
wow, good on you. That takes some skill.
And it's a public service because I know everybody really likes to hear coughing down a microphone, but I thought best not,
Yeah, and you know what? It's I don't think anyone would realize that you're sick. Like you did a great job. I don't think anyone would pick up that.
Yeah, well, I've just got man flu, so it's according to the team back in the house. So gotcha. I just need to, as they put it, buckle up, buttercup. It's all fine.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's good advice. Sage advice. Yes.
So is this giving you a bit more confidence about next week then? Are you thinking that yes, you can nail it? No, not at all.
I just don't know. I don't know because so to peel back the curtain on the other issue that I was experimenting with prior to us going on. So it looks like I can only host like 8 different media files. Okay, we have 4 for the main show. we need at least 4 more. And so what it's going to be is like having one at the ready for basically play one. And then if we need a backup one, we'll need to know in advance by 5 minutes or something, or it will take us 5 minutes of stalling to put it up there. We'll keep one free rotating space and load it up with the rest. That will be sort of the key ones to play. Yeah, I'm trying to think of how that will work. I need to experiment with let me just quickly, while we're talking here, video clips, I will upload the town hall and I'll see how long that takes, right? So this is going to add in another layer of complexity to the stream that's not great, but it's what needs to be done. And so let me take a look here. So I'm just going to upload this, and that's too long. 300 megabytes is the limit. Okay, so what am I going to do in that case? I'm going to make an ad break.
For any video?
Any video.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, so... how do we...
Have you done that? Oh, is that for put it as a background, or have you tried to put the ad source as a video?
You can't add source as a video. You have to put it in through this this thing.
Hold on a second.
Which is going to be yikes. Okay, this is going to be tough. Oh, I got to think through some things. The 15-minute segments will be fine.
So no, this hold on. If I play.
Oh, you're playing through your desktop though, right? Oh wait, hold on.
No, I've just put that in as a source, going through the plus button. So if you bring that up,
what? Local video.
Yeah.
Ah. Okay,
You're welcome.
Hold on. Let's see here. How long is that?
That's a minute long, but it's quite large, isn't it? 'Cause it's my advert.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to our HFES Presidential Town Hall for September 2022. No matter if you're joining us live, watching, or listening to this recording later, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you, Barry. You've saved me.
You're welcome.
Now the question is, can I queue up multiple videos? Or...
Well, let's find out. If I queue...
Yeah. Well, you can queue one up, and then I can queue one up, and we can switch between the two. So I might need to send you some video files.
Well, no, I think... give me a sec, because I think if I queue up both of them...
Yeah, let me see here.
Oh, no, I can only queue one at a time.
So we might do that. Or, no, it'll be fine, because I can do the little... Because, full disclosure, we're going to have little ad breaks so we can go to the bathroom, whatever, during all these interviews.
You're not just going to have a button. No, that's too much information, isn't it?
No. Thankfully, we're right by the restroom, so hopefully we don't hear toilets flushing. 3 minutes will be enough for me to run in, run out. So anyway, this is the So but let me see here. So how does that work though? So give me a minute. Hang on. I'm gonna try something really quick. Stick with me for a second.
It came from
podcast. I'm also joined by the president of HFES, Chris Reed, and hello everybody. Welcome. Okay, so even if I tee it up, I have to hit play because I hit, I turned it on and it auto played, and whatever, it'll be fine.
But if you don't turn it on until, because presumably it goes gray, it goes to the side of the screen, goes gray, and then as soon as you fire it up, it'll go. Yeah,
it's just more micromanaging, which I don't want to do, but we'll have to do, and that's okay. the fact that it doesn't have to process or anything is pretty great. I'm pretty happy about that because that's an hour-long presentation. I just added it. That's pretty great. So
it just beats it.
Yeah. You know what? Oh shoot!
If you put all of the files that you need into
the storage
on your machine, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll have to make a file for them all. Yes.
And you'll have to keep it local on your machine as well. Otherwise, you'll get double lag. You'll get downloaded. Yeah, you just want to throw everything out because presumably it only adds it at the local head. At the local head, not at the. Yes, it must do. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see something here. HFC assets. Where's my... The hell? I'm looking for something, but I'm not seeing it.
What have you lost?
Funny enough, our assets. Like you know what? Hang on, they're here. Oh wait, no, they're not. But like the music and stuff. Like where do I keep all that stuff?
This might be the time for an audit.
It's definitely going to be the time for an audit. I need to find some stuff, but this is making me wonder, like, if I what the heck? MP4. Dude, where is my stuff? Hang on. Let me just do a quick search here. Because now I want to see if... Hey, what's that?
Oh, I'm just...
That feels like a trap. I feel like I'm going to give an advertisement for something.
Welcome to 1202, the Human Factors Podcast.
Yep, that's an advertisement.
The interview I did with Chris.
Oh yeah, hey, there it is. Yeah,
software to maintain buildings, right? That's essentially what it is. And so we were working on the software. My job was, doing database systems and the front end with the website. And so one of the things I thought about after I graduated.
Did he authorize you to replay that?
Yeah.
What's up?
It's signed everything. It's fine. It's mine.
It's yours.
That
is one thing about our guest agreement that I'm really thankful for is that like they relinquish all rights to it. I mean, I would let them, but I mean, in terms of like claiming it or anything like that.
It's when people sort of say, "Oh, yeah, well, I guess I'll agree to your agreement," and it's like, well, you don't have to. You just don't get interviewed. Mm-hmm. It's part of the game. Not that we're going to do anything nasty with it. Right. Unless they're like try and do us over in some way, then clearly then we'll take every little word and mix it around until it says nasty things.
Exactly. But the thing is that we capture video too, and so it's like,
It's true.
Yeah. 1 second. I know you got to get out of here a little bit early tonight, but I want to just check one thing. It's not letting me do it. That's probably why it's not coming up, because I was looking for MP3 files in my assets folder and it just was not showing up, and I was like, wait, no, I know I have. Yeah, I know I have stuff, right? So like
this wouldn't let you pull up an MP3 file because it wouldn't know what to do with it. Oh no, yes, it should.
Wow, that's loud.
What's loud?
Okay, it just blows it out. Like I can't. It won't let me even put it as a source. Like, can you hear it on your end if I play it? No.
Oh.
It's really loud for me. It won't let me play it as a source. That's unfortunate, but yeah, that sucks. All right.
I guess there's no real reason for you to add it in. It would be cool if it would do it, but
yeah, because like, what if I want to do the outro with the music under my,
yeah, that's true.
Because I usually just add that in post, but what if I could do it live? That'd be cool. Anyway, I know you got to go, but
cool.
We'll see everybody next week for HFES. I'll be there live. I'll be at the podcasting booth. We are registration counter 3. So if you're there, please stop by. I'm happy to hand out some stickers and swag for y'all. Come by, say hi, say hello, see the podcasting setup. It's going to be very limited in its capacity while we're there live. Barry will be maybe on with me while I'm there hanging out sometimes, but he'll be on the stream for sure. But I'll be at the booth, throughout the week. Just saying hi to everybody. So
I need one of them. Have you seen them? The robots, or basically on a stick,
robot with the picture, the faces
on the top. Yeah, I demand one of them so I can trundle around the conference in one of them.
I wonder. I wonder
epic.
if the venue has those.
That would be epic if it did. That'd be brilliant.
I'll ask when I get on site. I will, because then you could just sit in with us. You the middle face.
Yeah,
patch in your audio feed from here. Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be epic. Right, I'm going to go disappear and go and find some medicine and go to bed.
All right, goodbye, everybody. We'll see you next week at Atlanta. Bye.
Bye.